From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
What's up, world? It's the one and only Pop DBICD Primetime Capper. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. I hope you are feeling the same. I hope you guys had a great weekend this weekend as well, too. It was a big sports weekend this weekend. I know a lot of people either was cashing some tickets or they was losing some money. It was one or the other. But it looked like a lot of people were able to really be able to get their NFL bets cashed out because it felt really, really formful. You know, you had a good double-digit spread cover by the Jaguars, who probably had the highest spread of any team this weekend. And you kind of had the feeling that they would cover their game. And then everybody who thought that they were going to be on something that was special, the big upset of the weekend, that didn't come to fruition. The Eagles looked like absolute juggernauts in that game against their rival, the Giants. We'll talk about that in a second. And then the upset came the next day, but it truly wasn't an upset in my opinion. I think that it was just really what the situation was. You have the Bengals, the hottest team in the AFC, going against the Bills, who seemed like a tired team the other day when they played, and they took advantage of that. And then you had the main event, the Cowboys and the 49ers. That was kind of a dud of a game. It didn't produce the fireworks on offense that you wanted it to do, but it was a good little defensive game, and it had its little moments. And it was a game that was literally decided on 3 or 4 plays, to be honest with you. So those are the games we really do sign up for, but we were expecting to have some more points in that Cowboys game. But all games went under this weekend as well, too. So that's something that was trending nicely this weekend for people who were all over the under. I know I was on the under in about 3 out of 4 of the games this weekend, but the one game I did have the over in, of course, they didn't get anywhere near that, and that was the Bills and the Bengals. So let's talk about the Chiefs advancing to their 5th title game in a row, but Mahomes' health is in question. Now, Mahomes' health is in question because, as usual, he hurt himself. And it seems like every year in the divisional round game against some upstart, he gets hurt. So he got hurt in this game. He hurt his ankle, high ankle sprain. He was really trying to be real courageous and come back into the game and, you know, show that he has heart, and, you know, everybody is just, you know, he got a lot of heart, you know what I mean? And that he's tough. And, you know, because everybody is always talking about how you got to be, that these guys aren't as tough as the guys from back in the day. And literally, even a guy from back in the day wasn't going to come back in the game with that same injury that Mahomes had. Bro, that looked like he broke his ankle, not sprained his ankle. I think that there's more to this, and he's not going to be 100% at all going into the conference championship, and he won't be 100% going into the Super Bowl either, even though he does get an extra week off. It's just, this is an injury that may need a surgery to it as well, too. I know for sure he definitely needs to have 4 weeks not being an active football player, and that's for damn sure. So this is going to be something that is going to be talked about all week, and I think what happens here is that it's going to actually make the line kind of shift more towards the Bengals. I know that right now we're sitting at, I think, a 2.5 on the Chiefs side, but as money starts pouring in and as excited as people are about the Bengals right now, I do expect the Bengals to be the kickoff favorite, to be honest with you. Not by a lot, but I don't think that they go off as the plus money. I know for sure you're not going to get any plus money on the money line. So this is definitely a 105, 115 money line type bet. And I think that it's something that can be very, very tricky if you don't play it the right way. But The over-under seems like it's something that a lot of people should have their eyes on. We'll talk more about it as we get through the week. I'm gonna move on to our next topic, and that's gonna be the Eagles' dominant effort on Saturday. The Eagles won their game 38-7 against rival Giants. They beat the Giants. And also, if you need to know the score of the Jaguars and Chiefs, it was 27-20 Chiefs. But the Chiefs did lead throughout. They really didn't have any issues with that team. But, the Jaguars showed some good heart, but I don't like talking about the loser. We just talk about the winners here. Jalen Hurts did the job. I got a little too cute with the Giants. I thought that they were going to at least be able to cover for us. And then I got even bolder and thought they would be able to pull off another big Giants upset on the road against the number one seeded team in the NFC like they did in their two previous Super Bowl runs over the last 15 years. But that did not happen because Eli Manning wasn't playing quarterback and Michael Strahan wasn't leading that defensive line. So it was a new day, a new time, and pretty much the Eagles showed me, and I hope everybody else, that they are the best team in the NFL, hands down. There is no ifs, ands, and buts about it. This team is very, very good. And they absolutely dominated the Giants team. But the Giants were a team that did kind of luck into a playoff spot this year with the very favorable schedule as well, too. So they did look out of sorts. They did look out of place in this game. And the Eagles took total advantage of that. The Eagles were very, very, very focused in on this game, and they made sure to not make the little mistakes that you do make coming off of a bye week. They took this game very seriously, and they looked at the Giants as if they were the favorite and that they were the underdog. And so they took total advantage of this. And I'm just going to say this: Jalen Hurts is absolutely incredible. First ever player to be in the top 5 for passing touchdowns and rushing touchdowns as well ever. And I just really feel like this guy is really, he has the best quarterback story in the NFL. He literally got threw away by the most dominant college on the planet in Alabama. He gets sent to another blue blood school in Oklahoma, where they kind of felt like he was just going to be a guy, and he goes off and he absolutely becomes one of the better quarterbacks in the nation and shows how great of a leader he was. Then everybody was kind of surprised that he was drafted in the second round and felt like it was more of a just to have yourself a nice little gadget type of backup and a guy that can be ready for Carson Wentz if Carson Wentz goes down. The guy full on replaced Carson Wentz and has now became pretty much the face of all Philadelphia sports. Like, everybody cannot stop talking about Jalen Hurts. This guy, Jalen Hurts, I don't even like to jump the gun like that, but nobody else deserves MVP in this league but him. I said a few weeks back, it should be him. I thought that Josh Allen, before he started struggling, could be the MVP. I know a lot of people want Mahomes to win MVP, but Jalen Hurts is right now the most important player for his team and the most important player out on the field, in my opinion. He's playing for the best team in the NFL. They have the best record in the league, so I'm on it. Like, why not? Jalen Hurts should be the MVP of the NFL. It does not matter what you guys think or how you guys feel. He is the best player going in the league. So I'm just really happy to see that all this success is happening for him. You like to see a guy who doesn't pout and just goes about his business. He earned everything that he's receiving right now. And so the Eagles are in good shape to really move forward and actually win their second title in the last 6 years, in my opinion. This game will be a game, though, that will be their toughest game of the season coming up Sunday. We'll talk a little bit more about that as the week prolongs, but let's go ahead and jump into our next topic in hand, and that's going to be our Sunday games. And we had a really good game matchup. We are all excited about it with the Bengals and the Bills. Bengals beat Bills in Buffalo. Send a message reminding us Who Dey, and Who Dey did the damn thing in that game. Joe Burrow showed out in that game. He showed everybody that if you ever slept on Joe Burrow, thank you, because you kept me motivated. It's so funny with Joe Burrow. They told me that Joe Burrow did not stand a chance on being an NFL quarterback when he stepped foot on the LSU field. They said that literally he was warming up the position for the next quarterback that they were recruiting. Then he had a pretty good game at the end of the season. He showed that he was capable of being a really, high-end quarterback and all that good stuff. And then the next year, Joe Burrow had a game on game, to start the season off. And then next thing you know, he just realized that he had one of the greatest groups that you could ever have as a college football team in the receiver room. And he totally took advantage of that. For a moment, a lot of us just felt like Joe Burrow was just really just lucky enough to get on a NFL caliber type roster for his college team when he left Ohio State. That's not the case. Joe Burrow is an absolute stud. Joe Burrow could have been the starting quarterback and the Big Ten MVP, whatever you want to be at Ohio State as well, too. But that's one of the most stacked quarterback rooms you'll ever be a part of. You have Justin Fields, who was absolutely tremendous in college. And then you had also you had Dwayne Haskins and all these guys before the fact. So it's just like it was a tough ask, but I do remember Joe Burrow coming in the fourth quarter and all that good stuff, and he looked good. He was decent, you know what I mean? And Joe Burrow has now went ahead and just pretty much stamped his self on being one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL. I know a lot of people want to put him in the top 2 category, but I don't want to jump to that yet. But him going to the Super Bowl last year, the way that they did, and the way that he's transitioned into the NFL when healthy for a full season, he's shown that he's the type of leader that can get you right where you need to be. He does have the coolness of a Tom Brady, in my opinion, when it comes to playing the quarterback position. And he has that pretty boy look. So a lot of people get all over and love some Joe Cool. So Joe Burrow went ahead and took care of his business. Buffalo, on the other hand, my Super Bowl pick, they came in there as a very tired team, in my opinion. I think that their team had to be so much better Sunday, but they just weren't. They just couldn't find the energy that they had all season. That's just all it was. They couldn't find the spark at all. But you can give a lot of props and a lot of love to the Bengals defense. The Bengals defense did an absolute tremendous job of shutting it down. They took them off the field 3 and out on I don't know 6-7 occasions, and then they were able to get like 40 first downs. Like, dude, literally they weren't getting off the field, and they were able to chew up the clock and get exactly what they wanted. I'm looking at the stats now, and Joe Burrow threw for 242 yards. He had himself a hell of a game, and he was able to mix it up so good. He started off that game completing, I think, his first 10 passes as well, too, to 7 different receivers. So this was absolutely tremendous what he was doing in this game. It was just incredible. And so a lot of us have to understand that the Bengals felt disrespected coming into this game. People tried to forget that the Bengals actually played in the Super Bowl last year. The Bengals came from the wild card, beat the Raiders in a close game, beat the Titans in a close game, came back from a deficit against the Bengals that nobody saw them coming back from, and wound up actually being able to get to the Super Bowl, and we're about a minute and a half away from winning the Super Bowl if the Rams didn't get so much ref help at the end. So this team, after that situation happens, they are more than motivated this season to get that Lombardi. They feel like it's unfinished business, and the Bills were in the way. And I felt exactly that feeling when you just saw how dominant they were in many spots of that game. Buffalo is a team that literally had bad luck here the last 6 weeks of the season. Losing Von Miller literally was the end of your Super Bowl hopes, and I kind of felt that coming the moment Von went down. I knew Von wasn't coming back for the rest of the year the moment that he got on that card. So it is what it is at the end of the day. The Bengals and the Bills play probably the most hyped game of the weekend that wasn't the Cowboys and the 49ers, but all in all, the Bengals won because they just had the motivation to go out there and win again. They didn't care. They've already played this upset special situation, and they went ahead and they handled their business. It's that simple. And they probably were the best type of dog you could bet. This was probably, you had a bad favorite and a too good to be true dog. The moment I saw +5.5, I said to myself, they are really, really setting up people to fail this weekend and have them chase Buffalo. And that's exactly what happened. And then idiots like myself, you take Buffalo on -245 and they absolutely get ransacked. So, they knew exactly what they were doing. So good job, odds makers. Bad job, bettors. That's all I can say. Bad job, Bills bettors, because the writing was on the wall that the Bills weren't going to win this game. It just is that simple. Way too over emotional, and they were talking more about DeMar Hamlin's situation than they were about the actual game plan going into the game. Everybody was already thinking about the rematch with the Chiefs, and you couldn't do that with the Bengals team. I'm sorry. The Bengals are the team that went to the Super Bowl last year, and they made us remember that as well, too, on Sunday. So let's go ahead and get into our final game of the group. And the final game of the group is going to be the Cowboys and the 49ers. This game, probably the most talked about game in the playoff group this week. You had a lot of really good players as well, too, going at it in this one. But at the end of the day, it just was not enough for the Cowboys. They had a lot of things. They had a lot of things that they would love to take back, to be honest. They could have been a lot better when it came down to, really executing and finishing off these drives, but they just didn't. The Cowboys were absolutely dreadful in a lot of spots. Dak Prescott looked like he was very, I would say Dak looked like he was very kind of not into things as much as he should be. I think that Dak really was confused because the San Francisco defense is absolutely immaculate. I didn't know who was better, them or the Eagles this weekend when it came to actually looking at these defenses play. But I would say probably the Eagles were more dominant. But when it came down to who had the better playmakers on the defensive side, I would say it was San Francisco, because this guy right here, Fred Warner, is an absolute monster. I haven't seen somebody as good as him at the linebacker position in some time now. I'm not going to compare him to the legends that I grew up watching, but in this league, the way it works, there's been a lot of guys that can play the middle linebacker position the way that Fred Warner has, but the way that he goes about it is a whole different animal. So I think that all in all, this one will be more about, the 49ers winning more than the 49ers. No. I really want to say this is going to be more about the Cowboys losing than the 49ers winning, okay? Because the Cowboys losing means that now their season is over. Now they still will have a whole bunch of headlines, because it's like, are they going to keep Dak? Are they going to keep Tony Pollard? Are they going to keep Zeke? You know what? At the end of the day, Cowboys, you got sent home. Nobody cares until the end of the Super Bowl, all right? So hopefully they don't make them the only story in football after this. You know what I mean? The San Francisco 49ers beat them. Just get over it. And they beat them, and they beat them well. And nobody cares about anybody's offseason right now. We only care about the 4 teams that are left. And the San Francisco 49ers showed me that they're another team that has that super look. I really do feel like the NFC Championship will probably be settling on who the actual Super Bowl champion is going to be this year, because both those teams are so good coming into this game, and they're literally mirror images of each other. But one thing that is the advantage, though, is that Philly has the possible MVP, while the 49ers have a really feel-good story, a really great game manager in Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy has probably been mentioned more than anybody over the last few weeks, because he was able to replace Jimmy G. The 49ers are on an absolute tear right now as well, too. But we all know that he is still a game away from having that game that is not going to be conducive for the 49ers. So that's why this defense is playing at a level that they're playing at. So I truly do feel that this one will be one of our better NFC championship games that we've had in a while. And I can't wait until this game actually happens. So Sunday, be ready. But I'll have more for you as we go along this week. I don't want to pick any winners or anything yet, but I do really feel this matchup is going to be one of the better conference championships in some time. So I like it. I think that is going to be a lot of fun. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and take a quick break. And when I get back, we're going to jump into some hoops. So you guys stay tuned. This is the Premier Sports Betting Show, the Primetime Angles, with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners, and I'll have another in Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
Tune into Big Wave Boxing every week with a brand new guest with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper, getting the best boxing stories, best boxing angles, and the truth when it all comes down to the sweet science. Tune into Big Wave Boxing on the Prime Wave Media channel on YouTube.
All right, we are back with the Premier Sports Betting Show, the Primetime Angles, with your boy, the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper. And you know what? I do have some news coming up in a second, but we'll get to that when we get to the State of the Lakers. Let's go ahead and jump into tonight's college basketball game of the night. And that's going to be of the day, actually. It's going to be the number 2 ranked Kansas Jayhawks against the number 21 Baylor Bears. And as you guys know, that these are the 2 defending national championship as well, too, back-to-back years for these squads, you know, because Kansas won their national championship last year, and then Baylor won the year prior to that. So you got 2 teams here that square off, and you know Baylor's really been a pain in Kansas' side over the last few years, and Kansas is coming off of 2 losses in a row. They just lost by 23 on Saturday to TCU, and then they lost by 1 to their bitter state rival Kansas State. So Kansas is looking to bounce back. Now, it says number 2 and number 21 today, but we all know at the end of the day, Kansas is not the number 2 team in the nation anymore. They're going to fall probably to about number 7, number 8. And, you know, let's keep it real. There was 8 teams in the top 10 that lost this week. The 1, the 2, the 5, the 6, the 7, and the 8 all lost this week. All lost last week. That was Houston, who lost on yesterday. Kansas lost twice. UCLA lost on Saturday to Arizona. Then you had Gonzaga lose to Loyola Marymount at home. And then Texas lost to Iowa State. And Villanova lost to DePaul on the road. So we got ourselves a little bit of a log jam a little bit here. And this is why I always laugh about rankings in college basketball, that we truly don't need them anymore. We just really need to just go about our business and see exactly who the best is to get into the tournament at the end of the day. We just need to really deal with the RPI ratings and all that good stuff that really confirms who the best teams in college basketball truly are, because this has been a funny rotation. And literally, I think if you put Purdue back in the number one spot, that just doesn't look good because Purdue is going to lose very soon again. But they are looking like the best team in the nation right now because they've played some really good basketball, but they still play in the Big Ten. So this is going to be a fun game tonight. I truly do think that this is a nice bounce back spot for Kansas. This Baylor team is not the same Baylor team that we've been used to the last few seasons. That dominant group Scott Drew has been coaching, but this game will be probably their game of the week. But I think Kansas winds up getting themselves a very, very thorough win here. It's going to be a hard fought game, so I do like the plus 110 in this spot. So get it while you can, because I truly do feel like this game winds up being a pick 'em, and then they'll probably make you go minus 110, 110 on each side. So get it while you can. That's what I'm saying to you guys, is just get it while you can. And I like Kansas to win this game tonight. So let's see how it goes. Let's see how it shakes out. We move forward from there. All right. Let's go ahead and jump into it. Big moves going on right now. We have the state of the Lakers. And from what I'm seeing right now, the Lakers have made themselves a trade. And that trade does involve Kendrick Nunn, who was hurt all last season, and he was hurt a little bit of this season, but he came back and he was. It took him some time to kind of get with the flow of things. He never truly did, but he had some moments where he got a little excited. But he is no longer on the Lakers. The Lakers have traded him. The Lakers have traded him for Rue. I'm getting the name for you guys right now. Hachimura. That guy played for Gonzaga a few years back. He was a top 10 lottery pick as well too. There was a lot of excitement about him coming into the draft. They called him a positionless player. I actually had seen him play in Maui, and I was not all the way impressed, but he was at one point seen as the top player in the nation when he was in college, but that was because that was not a great year in college basketball as well too. But he was still a guy who was very heralded coming into the NBA. So the that's awesome, man, that you had the Lakers on money line last night as well too. I would have said that was a strong play for you if you would have been wanting the Lakers on money line, because the Lakers, that was a good game for them to win. But let me continue with the trade now. Rue is good enough to yield Kendrick Nunn in 3 second-round draft picks. So that's the deal right there. Hachimura should be with the team by Friday, in my opinion, because the Lakers have a game against the Clippers tomorrow. Then they have a game, I think, the next night as well, too. And then they have an off day, and then they're back Friday. So I would think that he would be back with the Lakers. He would meet with the Lakers when they start their road trip. And they do have a game against Boston this weekend. So I would think they would try to get him in there before that. And hopefully AD returns for that Boston game on ABC next Saturday as well, too. So we'll see how it goes. But Hachimura, good. That was a good trade for the Lakers because they needed another big man. They had a lot of guards running around, so that works out very well for the Lakers moving forward. That now they have some more help for AD, and not just Tommy Bryant, and not just well, he doesn't play that much, but the Jones. So I think that all in all, the Lakers made a really, really good deal that sets up more deals down the road. Because I would say this, Pat Bev, I kind of, after last night, I kind of don't want Pat Bev to leave. I know I've been hard on him and all that stuff, but you kind of need that guy that doesn't do a lot of scoring but does a lot of talking on your team. I think that he brings a Draymond element to the Lakers that they truly do need right now. And I think that trading him might not be the best idea. Also, I think that if you're going to trade anybody right now, the person that you do have some value with is Troy Brown Jr. Troy Brown Jr., I really like him. He's a really good player. But there's a lot of guys in the NBA that do exactly what he does as well, too. So if you can figure out and find a team that wants him, I would be obliged to that one as well too. But Russell Westbrook is untradeable at this moment, in my opinion. I would say that Lonnie Walker is probably another guy that can be put onto the market, but I wouldn't want to trade him if I'm the GM because Lonnie Walker is a very valuable player towards the big push towards the playoffs, in my opinion. Schroeder is 50-50. You can keep Schroeder or you can, but if they offer you somebody really good for Schroeder, you can give him up, in my opinion. You can give him up. So, and Tommy Bryant is untradeable as well, too, at this moment because he is absolutely going berserk. So the Lakers, they're getting you excited because the Lakers are sitting now at the 12th seed. They're 22-25. But peep this, though. The Lakers are only 3 games out of the 3rd seed at this point. Okay? 5 games out of the 3rd seed, 4 games out of the 4th seed. And they are, I think, 2.5 out of the 6th seed. So the Lakers literally just have to keep going and they have to just keep winning. So, the Lakers got themselves a toughie against the Clippers in a few nights, but that's okay. They got to they get back with the Clippers anyway. So I truly do feel the Lakers will make some good moves here this week. And I think that they are starting to get to where we all want them to be. I don't care what anybody says. This team started off 2-10. They're 22-25 right now. You know what that record means? That means that you're 20-15 since that point. So the Lakers are not that lowly team that everybody was laughing at to start the season off. This team is a team that is very good, and they've had pretty much one of their best months of the season right now as well too. They're sitting pretty right now, 7-4 on this month. They've won their last 3 out of 4 after having a 3-game losing streak. And just think of this: if they would have won if they would have been able to just at least get their heads right in some of these spots, they could have swept their homestand. You know what I mean? They barely lost to Dallas. They barely lost to Philadelphia. Barely lost to Sacramento, and then they made up for it with the good win over Memphis. Now, if you go ahead and take back those 3 games that they didn't win, the Lakers are sitting at 25-25 right now, and they would actually be in the 6th seed. So people have to understand the Lakers are a big winning streak away from being right where they need to be, the playoffs. So there it is. And I would say you guys just got to just watch the show. Because AD's coming back. They just added in a nice little big here. So we'll see how it goes. The Lakers have nothing but bright days ahead, in my opinion. So let's go ahead and get into the NBA for tonight. We got 7 games, but I got 5 that I'm going to talk about. Up first, we got ourselves the Hawks and the Bulls. I know it's Hawks and Bulls. The Hawks come in here 24-23. The Bulls are 21-24. You have a Hawks team that's playing much better basketball this month. They just had a 5-game winning streak snapped as well too, but they're playing much better basketball this month. They're 7-4 in the month of January. They're 11-13 straight up on the road for the season, 17-16 straight up versus the Eastern Conference. And then when it comes to the spread, they're 20-26-1. And then on the road, they're 10-13-1 against the spread. And then against the spread versus the Eastern Conference, they're 14-18-1. Now, over and unders in their 47 games, they've went over in 27. The Bulls are 5-4 in the month of January. They're also 12-10 straight up at home, 17-13 versus the Eastern Conference, and they're 23-20-2 against the spread. Now, at home against the spread, they're 11-10-1, and then versus the Eastern Conference, they're 19-9-2 against the spread. Now, when it comes down to the over and under in their 45 games, they've went under in 23. So when I look at this game tonight, I truly do feel like we have an over-under spot here with the Bulls and the Hawks. I know it always feels like an over-under spot when it comes to the Hawks and Bulls, but it's tough to pick a side here because it's a 1.5-point spread, pretty much a pick 'em in my books. So I think that if you pick a winner, the Bulls probably will be the choice. They'll be the overwhelming choice when it comes to who's going to get the most money. But real quick, I just want to confirm to you guys that Bronny James, aka LeBron James Jr., has looks like he's going to choose Oregon University as his place where he's going to do his one and done at, because he ain't staying for no 4 years. So there it is. Mr. Bronny James is now an Oregon Duck. That's not that bad of a choice. It's actually a pretty good choice for the type of player he is, because he'll probably get the type of playing time that he does feel he's entitled to, because he wasn't going to be getting that over at Ohio State without earning it, and definitely wasn't going to get it over at USC without earning it. So, Oregon's a school that does kind of cater to these type of situations, so it should be good for him. But I would say this: you better go hard or go home. You better stop looking at your dad as a way to say that you're good enough to be in the NBA, because if anybody's going to have a big target on their back, it's going to be him. All right, so that's where we have it at. Let's move forward. Let's keep on topic. We have the Wolves and the Rockets tonight. They just played last week as well too, and the Rockets absolutely crushed the Wolves. And the Rockets are playing the Wolves are playing better basketball right now. They were struggling this month, but they're playing much better. They did play them last time out. They did play them on Saturday. They beat them by 11, and they played them on January 8th. They beat them by 8. So they got 2 wins over this team. And this is de facto back-to-back, but it's a different back-to-back because it's not at the same they played in Minnesota Saturday, playing in Houston tonight. So when I look at this one, you have a Minnesota team, as I said before, playing much better basketball. They're 8-3 coming into this game. Also, they are 8-14 straight up on the road. They're 15-15 against the spread and straight up versus the Western Conference. Now, against the spread, they're 22-26 on the road. They're 9-13 against the spread. And in 48 games this year, they went under in 25 of their games. Rockets are 0-10 this month, but they have lost 13 in a row as well too. Also, they've lost their last 17 out of 18. This team is looking real AAU-ish right now in the NBA. Seriously, they look absolutely terrible in the league, and this is something that is that needs to be fixed. The NBA cannot move like this. I'm sorry. If you guys literally putting the age limit on the league is stupid, because literally you just need to tell these guys you got to be 21 or up, just like the NFL, because you guys just are not capable of being professionals, in my opinion. I do not care. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, I come from an era where these guys were the guys that were going to high school to the NBA would look like grown ass men. Seriously, some of them were already 20 years old going to the NBA. They just were too old to go to college. So these guys look like kids. And that's what the biggest problem is because you guys are kids playing against men. And you guys think that you know it all, but you just don't. 6-15 straight up at home. Absolutely terrible. They actually had a pretty good record at home until this long funk of losing. Then against the West, they're a terrible 5-27. Against the spread, they're 17-27-2. They actually had a winning record against the spread, but they've dropped so many games in a row that went to the left as well too. Now at home against the spread, they're 9-10-2. They had a winning record in that stretch. And then when it comes down to playing the West, they're 10-21-1 against the spread. Now, when it comes down to the over-under in their 46 game, they are split at 23. Okay, so when I see this one, I like the over. It's that simple. It's going to be the over because Houston don't play no defense. Only thing Houston does is run up and down the floor. That's it, and that's all. They do it at a fast pace, but literally, that's all they do. When I saw them play the Lakers the other night, I said, this is absolutely pathetic. I don't know what you're doing out here, but it's not good. So let's go ahead, move on, talk about our next game, which is going to be the Jazz and the Hornets. And the game's going to be in Utah tonight. You got a 13-34 Hornets team. Then you got the Jazz 24-25. LaMelo, he's dealing with the bad ankle and everything like that. The Jazz have regressed. The team that started off 6-2 on the season are now 24-25. So you guys can do the math on what's been going on with that. This team is not playing the way that they did to start the year. The Hornets 3-7 in the month of January. They're 8-18 straight up on the road. They're 7-11 against the Western Conference. They're 25-2 against the spread. 14-10-2 against the spread on the road. 9-8-1 against the spread versus the Western Conference. Now, when it comes to the over/under, in 47 games, they went over 25 times. The Jazz are even in January at 5-5. They're 15-9 straight up at home. They're 6-11 against the spread and straight up versus the Eastern Conference. They've had their issues with anybody in the Eastern Conference this year. I've seen them lose to some bad teams in the East. They're 27-22 against the spread, 13-11 at home, and then they're also going to be 27-21. They're going to be they've had 49 games. They've went over in 27 of them. Tonight, I'm going to go ahead and do this. I'm going to take the Hornets with the plus points. I just feel like the Hornets, will probably be an oversight. You'll probably overbet the Jazz here, and the Jazz will probably be a team that you're depending on to help you win a big ticket or a parlay or something, and the Hornets are going to mess it up. So I like the Hornets at +8 tonight. Let's see how it goes. Let's see how it shakes out. Actually, I'm sorry. No. I like the Jazz at -8 tonight. I think that, without LaMelo tonight, they are not going to be good at all, to keep it real with you. Now, if LaMelo was playing, it'd be different because they still be an 8-point dog. But LaMelo brings a little bit of fun to it. But sorry about that. I really meant to say the Jazz would be because I'm looking back at my ticket like Pop. You don't have the Hornets, you have the Jazz. So I have the Jazz here with the -8. It should be good. And we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. I think I jumped the gun because I have this game coming up, the Spurs and the Blazers. And I know I've reviewed this game multiple times this year as well, too, Spurs and Blazers. But you got a Spurs team going in 2-8 in the month of January, 5-15 straight up on the road. They're 5-25 straight up versus the West. They're 23-23 against the spread. They're 9-11 against the spread on the road. They're 12-18 against the spread versus the Western Conference. And then when it comes down to their 46 games, they've went over in 27 of them. The Spurs are a team that I don't think that they're trying to tank. It's just that they don't have a roster that's conducive enough to be a really feasible NBA team. It's just that simple. So, I would truly go ahead and say this, that next year they should be better because I think that they will get the number 1 pick in the draft. But how long is Pop going to be there? You know what I mean? Do you think Pop might want to step down this year? If I was him, I would. The Blazers 3-8 in the month of January. Also 11-10 straight up at home, 15-15 straight up versus the Western Conference. Against the spread, they're 24-22. Against the spread at home, they're 12-9. And against the spread versus the Western Conference, they're 17-13. Now, when it comes down to the over/under, in their 48 games, they've went under in 25 of them. So, in 47 games to be exact. 46. So, in their 46 games, they've went under 25 times. So, you have that working out in their regard. But this one right here, the Blazers looked bad last night. They dropped 41 in the quarter, then they dropped 20 in the quarter, and then they dropped like 15 in the final quarter. They literally had the Lakers. They were getting beat by the Lakers by 14 at one point. Then they were beating the Lakers by 25 at one point, and then they lost the game by 9. I cannot trust a team like that with a -9 spread. I do not care. I'm taking the Spurs +9. I don't care how bad the Spurs are. The Blazers just are not a good team. Their record shows like they're somewhat of a good team, but they are not. They're nowhere near being a good team right now. And I don't think that is any fault of the players. I just think that they're not getting coached well. Chauncey Billups, you were a great player, but coaching the game is a different animal, and I don't think you're doing a good job at it. So I truly do feel like they are very close to probably firing Chauncey Billups very, 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 very soon. So Blazers, you're probably going to struggle tonight. I can't take this bet with you, so I'm taking the +9 with the Spurs tonight. Let's see how it goes. Let's see how it shakes out. We move forward from there. All right, so we got our final game, which is the game of the night between the Grizzlies and the Kings. And you got a Grizzlies team, losers of their last 2 in a row after coming into this month being straight killers. They had won their first 9 games in a row. They had actually won 11 in a row before they had their winning streak snapped on Friday against the Lakers. And I would have had a nice little rant about Lakers Grizzlies on Friday night, but the Lakers took care of their business. That was probably the best win of the year for the Lakers, being down 8 under 2 minutes and still winding up winning the game by 1 point. So that game was absolutely tremendous, and I'm just going to tell Laker fans right now, the Lakers been playing hard basketball for some time now. Shannon Sharp arguing with people on the sideline did not motivate them to win that game. So just put that into perspective. It almost lost the Lakers the game, to be honest with you, because I think the Grizzlies went on like an 11-0 run right after that happened. So the Lakers had been playing great basketball the whole month. And so pretty much they caught the Grizzlies slipping because the Grizzlies were talking too much and they just weren't finishing the game. Now, this team is 11-12 on the road straight up. They're 15-12 straight up versus the West. They're 22-22-2 against the spread. And then against the spread on the road, they're 8-14-1. And then versus the West, they're 9-17-1. So they don't cover against the West, but they can win against the West. That's what this is telling me, right? And then when it comes down to the over-under, in their 46 games, they are actually split at 22 with 2 pushes. So the Grizzlies looking to end that 2-game losing streak tonight, keep themselves right where they need to be, right there in the race to get the number 1 seed in the Western Conference, because they are chasing Denver right now. But Denver does have a little bit of a one-up because they did beat them earlier this month as well, too. You have a Kings team who's 7-4 in the month of January. They're playing really good basketball. They just came off of winning 5 in a row, dropped their last game, but they got it back together after having a little bit of a struggle. They're 15-10 straight up at home right now. They're 14-9 straight up against the Western Conference. They're 25-19-1 against the spread. They're 12-12-1 against the spread at home. 14-8-1 against the spread versus the West. And then when it comes down to the over-under in their 45 games, they are split at 22 with 1 push. So there it is with that. And I truly do feel like this game does go to the home team tonight. I think the Grizzlies wind up losing their 3rd game in a row, and the Kings wind up getting a very big win here because the Kings seem to play up to all the really good teams in the NBA right now. So I really, truly like the Kings going into this game. And I think that, after what happened with the Grizzlies and the Lakers, and then flying from LA, then flying to Phoenix, and then flying back to Sacramento and playing 3 games in the last 4 days, this is going to kind of affect you a little bit. And I think that the Kings go ahead and give them another loss tonight. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. But that's where we have it at when it comes down to tonight's games. Even though we got 7 and I talked about 5 of them, you guys already know where the other 2 are at. And I talked about the Lakers. The Lakers tonight the Lakers ain't playing tonight, so sorry about that. So let's go ahead and jump into talking tickets. And talking tickets, my favorite subject, your favorite subject. Let's go ahead and talk about it. Up first, we got the CBB PrimeTime PK4. We got it at 44-1. We have +8 on Chicago State. They're playing against Coastal Carolina tonight in a non-conference game. You got Western Illinois tonight. In a conference game in their spot. I like them with the 6.5. You have Hotfoot, who's playing in a MEAC game tonight. I like them with the +16. Let's see how it goes. Let's see how it shakes out. And then we also have South Carolina State on this ticket as well, too, with the -7. They're playing Delaware State tonight. And then we got Grambling, home of we all know about them in their big college football time. College football run. They are -165 tonight on our ticket. And then we got Kansas with the +110 as our CBB bet of the day as well, too. So Kansas is +110 tonight against Baylor. Let's see how it goes. Let's see how it checks out. 44-1 ticket on the pick 6. Now we have the dog day pick 4. We have a 29-1 ticket. We got Wisconsin with the +120, Duke with the +120, Oakland money line +150. Then we finish up with New Mexico at +145. So this is a 29-1 ticket. You put 20 on it, you get back 580. You get back 580. That 20 turns it into 600. So there you go. All right. So pretty much we have ourselves the NBA Super High Five, and this is a good one as well too. 20 gets you 500. You got the under 239.5 with the Hawks and the Bulls, the over 234.5 with the Wolves and the Rockets, Jazz -8, Spurs +9, Kings even money. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. All right. So those are your tickets for today. And I want to thank you guys very much for tuning in as well. You guys are the absolute best. And with that, I just leave you with this. As I always say, bet with your head, not with your heart. The movement is moving. I'll be back to you tomorrow at the same time. So you guys make sure to tune in for that. And I always look forward to it as well. And once again, this is the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Angles, with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper. And I am gone.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.